The human mind is a marvel of complexity, processing an estimated 60,000 to 80,000 thoughts every single day. But here's the startling truth. Research suggests that nearly 80% of those thoughts are negative, and about 95% are the same ones we had yesterday. Let that sink in. Day after day, we replay the same internal script, a mental movie saturated with self-doubt, regret, anxiety, judgment, and fear. Like a radio stuck on one station, we broadcast the same limiting beliefs, the same harsh criticisms, the same worries about the future and guilt about the past. And over time, this repetition becomes a kind of psychological prison, a silent, invisible loop that shapes how we feel, act, and even see the world. But what if you could change the channel? What if you could interrupt this relentless cycle and introduce new patterns, thoughts that uplift, empower, and heal? What if peace of mind wasn't something distant or mystical, but something you could actively cultivate here and now? In today's journey, we're not diving into years of therapy, nor are we exploring abstract or complicated mental techniques. Instead, we'll uncover practical, grounded tools, simple yet profoundly effective methods rooted in both ancient wisdom and modern psychology that can liberate you from the grip of negative thinking. You'll learn how to gently shift the direction of your thoughts, how to create spaciousness between you and your mental chatter, and how to cultivate inner clarity, genuine self-compassion, and emotional freedom. Because transformation doesn't require force, and it begins with awareness. And the moment you begin to observe your thoughts without being ruled by them, you take the first step toward reclaiming your mind. Let's begin. The silent saboteur in your mind. Meet David. To the outside world, he's the image of success. A polished marketing executive, respected by his peers, admired for his results, and seemingly in control. He walks into meetings with a smile, speaks with authority, and leads his team with competence. But beneath that confident exterior lies a different reality. Inside David's mind, there's a relentless narrator, a voice that never seems to sleep. You're not really qualified for this promotion. Soon they'll find out you're a fraud. You always mess things up. Why did you say that in the meeting? You sounded so stupid. You should have stayed quiet. Sound familiar? David isn't broken. He's not alone. In fact, he's painfully human. This internal voice, harsh, judgmental, and uninvited, isn't unique to him. It's something we all experience. Psychologists have a name for it: automatic negative thoughts, or ants. And like real ants, they tend to come in swarms, crawling into our consciousness without permission, distorting our self-image, poisoning our potential, and silently shaping the course of our lives. But here's what's even more sobering. These negative thoughts aren't just background noise. They are powerful sculptors of our reality. They influence the way we feel about ourselves. They dictate how we interpret the world around us. They shape our behaviors, often in quiet but deeply consequential ways. When we believe the story that our mind tells us, the story of not being good enough, smart enough, attractive enough, or lovable enough, we begin to act from that belief. We withdraw. We play small. We say no to opportunities that could have transformed our lives. We stop raising our hands, stop speaking up, stop dreaming bigger. And the most tragic part? These thoughts disguise themselves as protectors. Our mind tells us it's helping, that if we rehearse failure, we'll be more prepared, that if we expect rejection, we'll feel less hurt, that if we criticize ourselves first, we won't be blindsided by others. But this kind of protection comes at a terrible cost. It keeps us confined, not safe, but stuck, not protected, but paralyzed. This is the prison of self-doubt, a prison with no bars, no walls, just a story repeated so many times that we begin to mistake it for truth. But here's the revolutionary truth, the key that unlocks the door. You are not your thoughts. You are not the voice in your head, nor the story it tells. You are the awareness behind the thoughts, the silent witness, the one who notices, who observes. And in that noticing, something powerful happens. The thoughts begin to lose their grip. The spell begins to break. Because when you realize that you are not the storm, you are the sky it moves through, everything begins to change. You are not broken. You are not unworthy. You are simply human. And being human means you have the capacity to choose differently, to step out of the old mental script, to stop believing every thought you think, to start responding with awareness, with compassion, with courage. This is where transformation begins, not by silencing the mind, but by no longer mistaking it for the truth. If this message resonates with you, and you're seeking more moments of peace and insight, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for daily reflections rooted in ancient wisdom and modern clarity. The anatomy of negative thinking. Before we can free ourselves from negative thoughts, we need to understand how they operate. Negative thinking patterns typically fall into several categories. The catastrophizer turns molehills into mountains. A delayed response to a text becomes, "They hate me." And a minor mistake at work becomes, "I'm going to get fired." The mind reader assumes they know what others are thinking, usually the worst. "She looked at me strangely. She must think I'm weird." The fortune teller predicts doom and gloom. "This presentation will be a disaster. I'll embarrass myself." The perfectionist sets impossible standards. "If I can't do it perfectly, I'm a failure." The personalizer takes responsibility for everything. "It's my fault the team meeting went poorly." The all-or-nothing thinker sees the world in extremes. "I ate one cookie, I've ruined my entire diet." These patterns become so automatic that we don't even notice them. They're like mental habits that have been reinforced over years or decades. But here's the hopeful news. Just as these patterns were learned, they can be unlearned. The science of thought transformation. Neuroscience has shattered the old myth that our brains are fixed, unchangeable organs. For centuries, people believed that our mental patterns, personality traits, and habits of thought were carved in stone by adulthood, that we were stuck with the mind we were given. But today, thanks to groundbreaking research, we know a far more hopeful truth. The brain is not static. It is dynamic, adaptive, and astonishingly malleable. This truth lives in the concept of neuroplasticity, the brain's remarkable ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life. In simple terms, we can literally rewire how we think. Every thought you think isn't just a fleeting mental blip. It's a signal, an electrical impulse that travels across neural pathways, strengthening certain connections while weakening others. And the more often you activate a particular thought pattern, whether it's one of hope or despair, gratitude or resentment, courage or fear, the stronger that pathway becomes. Just like a trail in the forest becomes clearer with each footstep, your mind carves mental trails that get easier to follow the more you walk them. So, what does this mean for you? It means that every time you pause and consciously choose a positive, empowering thought over a negative one, you are reshaping your brain. You are reinforcing the circuits of resilience, optimism, calm, and confidence. You're not just thinking differently, you're becoming different. And it doesn't require perfection. You don't have to stop all negative thoughts, you just need to begin noticing them, to catch them in the act, to gently question them instead of automatically believing them. Because here's something revolutionary to remember. Thoughts are not facts. Just because your mind says something doesn't make it true. Your mind can say, "I'm not good enough." It can say, "Everyone will judge me." It can whisper, "Why even try?" But those are not objective truths. They're mental events. They arise, they pass. Like clouds in the sky, like waves on the ocean, they come and go. Your mind is a master storyteller, wildly creative, incredibly persuasive. But you are the one who decides which stories to believe and which ones to release. You have the power to shift your inner narrative, to replace cycles of fear with trust, self-criticism with compassion, hopelessness with possibility. You are not the passive recipient of your mind's chatter. You are the author of your mental world. And with each new intentional thought, with each moment of awareness, you are sculpting a new brain, a new mindset, and ultimately, a new life. The pause method, reclaiming your mind in moments of distress. When you catch yourself slipping into negative thoughts, use the pause method to ground yourself. P. Pause. Stop for a moment. Take a slow, deep breath. Interrupt the mental momentum before it builds further. A. Acknowledge. Name what you're experiencing. Say to yourself, I'm feeling anxious, or a critical thought just came up. This builds awareness without resistance. You understand. Ask gently, where is this thought coming from? Is it fear, shame, old conditioning? This step invites curiosity instead of judgment. S. Shift perspective. Zoom out. See the thought as a passing mental event, not a fact. Ask, is this 100% true? Would I say this to someone I love? E. Empower. Decide your next step from a place of self-compassion, whether it's choosing a more balanced thought, taking a mindful action, or simply letting it go. Respond instead of react. Use the pause method anytime your mind starts spiraling. Over time, you'll build mental space, the ability to witness thoughts without being consumed by them, and from that space you can create peace, strength, and freedom. The 5-4-3-2-1 thought reset. When negative thoughts feel overwhelming, use this grounding technique to return to the present moment. 5 things you can see. Look around and name 5 things you can see. Really look at them, their colors, shapes, textures. 4 things you can touch. Feel 4 different textures around you. The smoothness of your phone, the roughness of your jeans, the coolness of a wall. 3 things you can hear. Listen for 3 different sounds. Maybe it's traffic outside, the hum of air conditioning, or your own breathing. 2 things you can smell. Notice 2 scents in your environment, perhaps coffee, fresh air, or even just the absence of smell. 1 thing you can taste. Focus on 1 taste in your mouth, or take a sip of water and really taste it. This exercise pulls you out of your mental story and into sensory reality, breaking the cycle of negative thinking. The thought record exercise. Negative thoughts often feel like absolute truths. They arise quickly, trigger strong emotions, and hijack our focus. But here's the empowering truth. You don't have to believe everything you think. With a structured, mindful approach, you can begin to unravel these mental patterns, transforming emotional reactivity into grounded clarity. Use this step-by-step process to dissect and neutralize the grip of persistent negative thoughts. 1. Identify the situation. Begin by anchoring your reflection in reality. Ask yourself, what just happened that triggered this thought? Was it something someone said? A mistake I made? A moment of silence that felt uncomfortable? Be as specific as possible. Context matters. The more clearly you define the triggering event, the easier it will be to analyze the thought. 2. Capture the thought. Write down the exact thought running through your mind, word for word. Don't filter it. Don't judge. Just observe and record. For example, I'm never going to succeed, or how people are just pretending to like me. Seeing the thought in writing helps you create space between you and it. Remember, this is a thought, not a fact. 3. Rate the intensity. Give your belief in the thought a number between 1 and 10. 1. I barely believe this. 10. This feels 100% true. This allows you to track your emotional state before and after the reflection process and reminds you that belief is not fixed. It can shift. 4. Examine the evidence now. Approach the thought like a detective or a curious scientist. Ask yourself, what objective evidence supports this thought? What moments, memories, or facts are leading me to believe it? And just as importantly, what evidence contradicts this thought? You might find that your mind is ignoring past successes, exaggerating failures, or projecting fears into the future. For example, I've failed before might be true, but so is I've overcome challenges before, and I've grown because of them. This step is about balancing the emotional narrative with factual clarity. 5. Generate alternatives. Now that you've challenged the original thought, open up new perspectives. Ask, what else could be true here? How would someone I trust view this situation? Is there a more compassionate way to interpret what happened? You're not lying to yourself. You're recalibrating your lens. Maybe instead of I'm a failure, you come to I made a mistake, but that doesn't define me. I'm learning. Or instead of "no one cares," you might land on "I'm feeling lonely right now, but I know there are people who've supported me before." 6. Create a balanced thought. Take all your insights and distill them into one clear, realistic and grounded thought that you can hold on to. Think of it as a mental compass, something to guide you out of the fog. Example: original thought, "I'll never get better at this." Balanced thought: "This is hard right now, but progress takes time. I've improved before and I can again." Make sure your new thought feels true, not blindly positive, but supportive and believable. 7. Re-rate the intensity. Now that you've reframed your thinking, go back to the original thought and re-rate how strongly you believe it. Often, what once felt like a 10 can drop significantly, not because the situation changed, but because your perception did. This is the power of self-awareness and cognitive restructuring in action. Why this works? This isn't just mental gymnastics, it's neuroscience in motion. By consciously challenging and replacing unhelpful thoughts, you're rewiring your brain's habitual patterns. You're building the mental muscle of discernment and training your mind to respond with clarity rather than react from fear. Over time, this practice creates a new baseline, one where self-compassion, logic, and emotional resilience become second nature. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer, the challenger, the rewriter. And with every thought you examine, you reclaim a little more of your peace, your power, and your freedom. The best friend technique. Ask yourself, what would I tell my best friend if they were having this thought? We're often much kinder and more rational when advising others than when talking to ourselves. If your friend said, "I'm terrible at presentations," you might respond, "That's not true. Remember your presentation last month? Everyone said it was excellent. You're just nervous, which is normal." Apply this same compassion and logic to your own self-talk. Become your own best friend rather than your harshest critic. The evidence collection method. For each negative thought, become a detective. Thought, "I always mess things up." Evidence for, "I made a mistake on the report yesterday." Evidence against, "I successfully completed 3 projects this month, received positive feedback from my manager, solved a complex problem last week, and my colleagues often come to me for advice." Verdict: this thought is an overgeneralization based on one recent incident and doesn't reflect the full picture of my capabilities. The thought diffusion technique. Instead of fighting negative thoughts, try these diffusion strategies. Thank your mind. "Thanks, mind, for that thought. I know you're trying to protect me, but I don't need that right now." Sing the thought. Take your negative thought and sing it to the tune of "Happy Birthday" or any silly song. This reduces its emotional impact. Imagine a silly voice. Hear your negative thought in the voice of a cartoon character or someone with a funny accent. Write it down. Physically write the thought on paper, then crumple it up and throw it away. These techniques help you see thoughts as mental events rather than absolute truths. The positive thought replacement system. After identifying and challenging negative thoughts, consciously replace them with more helpful alternatives. Instead of, "I can't do anything right," try, "I made a mistake, and that's how I learn and grow." Instead of, "Everyone thinks I'm boring," try, "I may not be the loudest person in the room, but I have valuable insights to share." Instead of, "I'll never be successful," try, "Success looks different for everyone, and I'm making progress at my own pace." Instead of, "I'm not smart enough," try, "Intelligence comes in many forms, and I have unique strengths and abilities." The gratitude interrupt. When negative thoughts dominate, interrupt them with gratitude. The 3 good things practice. Each evening, write down 3 things that went well during the day and why you think they happened. The gratitude. Pause. Throughout the day, pause and identify something you're grateful for in that moment. The appreciation meditation. Spend 5 minutes focusing on someone or something you appreciate, feeling the warmth of gratitude in your body. Gratitude literally rewires your brain to notice positive experiences rather than focusing solely on problems. The future self-visualization. When caught in negative thinking, imagine your future self, wise, confident, and at peace. What would this version of you say about your current situation? Exercise. Close your eyes and visualize yourself 5 years from now, having overcome your current challenges. What advice would this future self give you? What perspective would they offer on your current negative thoughts? This technique helps you step outside your current emotional state and gain broader perspective. The worry time technique. Instead of letting negative thoughts intrude throughout the day, schedule specific worry time. Set aside 15 minutes daily for negative thoughts and worries. During this time, write down all your concerns and negative thoughts. For each concern, ask, is this something I can control? If yes, make an action plan. If no, practice acceptance. Throughout the day, when negative thoughts arise, remind yourself, I'll think about this during worry time. This technique contains negative thinking to a specific time and place, preventing it from contaminating your entire day. Your journey forward. As we conclude, remember that you have the power to change your relationship with negative thoughts. You don't need to be perfect, and you don't need to eliminate every negative thought. You just need to start where you are, with what you have right now. Every time you question a negative thought, you're building mental strength. Every time you choose a positive interpretation over a negative one, you're rewiring your brain for resilience. Every time you treat yourself with compassion instead of criticism, you're creating space for growth and healing. The path from negative thinking to mental freedom isn't about reaching some final destination where you never have another negative thought. It's about developing the skills to work with your mind skillfully, to see thoughts as mental events rather than absolute truths, and to choose responses that serve your highest good. Your mind is incredibly powerful. It can create suffering or joy, limitation or possibility, fear or love. And that moment is now. Final thoughts and your next steps. If this message resonates with you, I encourage you to start implementing these techniques today. Choose 1 or 2 exercises that spoke to you and commit to practicing them for the next week. Notice what happens. Pay attention to the shifts, however small they might be. Remember, you're not trying to become someone else. You're learning to work with your mind more skillfully. You're not trying to eliminate all discomfort. You're learning to respond to mental challenges with wisdom rather than reactivity. The path to mental freedom is walked 1 thought at a time, 1 breath at a time, 1 moment of awareness at a time. And that journey begins now. Your negative thoughts don't define you. Your past doesn't limit you. Your current mental habits don't have to be permanent. You have the power to choose different thoughts, create new patterns, and build a mind that serves your highest potential. The most beautiful part of this journey is that as you free yourself from negative thinking, you're not just improving your own life. You're becoming a source of positivity and possibility for everyone around you. Your mental freedom becomes a gift to the world. Start today. Start now. Your future self will thank you.